No,
yeah, we are live. Welcome. Start with on-site folks.
So normally a virtually connecting session takes place outside of a regular conference. It's instead of a hallway conversation for folks who can't make it to the conference. And normally we'd agree with people ahead of time. So we've agreed with Debbie to be our on-site guest who's going to talk to us about the topic or the conference that we're doing. And we start out by introductions. So I'll let Mia start.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mia Zamora. This year, I'm on sabbatical as the Fulbright Professor of Digital Culture at the University of Bergen in Norway. When I'm not there, I'm at Kane University. I'm an Associate Professor of English, Literature, and Writing, which at Kane University is in New Jersey. So that's my formal hello.
I don't know who to talk to. I'm like, you still look at the camera. I'm Alan Levine. I'm from the internet. Sorry, I like saying that. I'm an independent web developer, itinerant web geek, online teacher. Me and I teach together in a class in New Jersey, and none of us are in New Jersey. And this is the first time I've gotten to meet Maha in person. This is really special.
I'm Maha Bali. I'm from the American University in Cairo, and I'm the co-founder and co-director of Virtually Connecting. And Alan, Mia, and everyone up here is also part of the team. And Debbie is our on-site guest, so introduce yourself.
Hi. I'm Debbie Bath. I'm a senior academic developer at Swansea University. Okay. And I'm also a second-year PhD student in e-research and technology enhanced learning at Lancaster University. And I've been on the other side of this, and Maha very nicely said that would I like to come and do this. So I don't know what I'm doing, but I just thought I'd come along and say hello.
Okay, and I'll ask the virtual folks to introduce themselves, and then
what we'll do is we'll start with Christian, Autumn, Nadine, and then I'll introduce Ella since she's without a mic this morning.
All right. So I'll give it a quick start. Hello, everyone. My name is Christian. I'm currently from Hamburg in Germany. I'm the Education and Science Advisor to Wikimedia in Germany, and I'm also a part-time consultant that just started both, actually. So I used to be in the university business as well.
Hey, everyone. My name is Autumn Keynes, and I'm an instructional designer at St. Norbert College in Green Bay, Wisconsin. But I'm actually in Nashville, Tennessee at the OLC Innovate Conference right now. It's great to be here.
Nadine, can you unmute so you can introduce yourself?
We could try and use the time to introduce Ella, who's also with us, but who doesn't have audio, I think, right? So I'll just read what the way she introduced herself in the chat, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
So we have Ella with us. She works in higher education libraries in the UK in London, and we welcome her to her first virtually connecting session. Hi, Ella.
And I'm Helen DeWard. I'm an instructor here in Central Ontario, so I'm really happy to be joining you in Bristol.
And so, I mean, one of the key things about virtually connecting is access to marginalized voices, people who cannot be at conferences, people who cannot access the kind of professional development that a lot of us are privileged enough to be able to come, whether we're because we're able or because we're financially stable or families, the situation allows us to do that, or institutions pay for it. And one group of those people is students who get less funding, less time, and all of that. So I was curious, from Debbie's point of view, you've been a participant in some of these, and I guess you watch them sometimes even when you're not part of them. These are live streamed on YouTube. So if anyone at some point wants to come in and join, you can come in, but we're not forcing you to be in the video. So Debbie, what has it done for you? Like, why do you participate?
I think it's a fun initiative, really. I mean, it's helpful to take part in it directly, but it's also helpful to watch it back afterwards. It's a very nice way as well of feeling that you've got a voice. And even though you may not necessarily have met a lot of people before, it's a way of getting, particularly as a kind of an early career researcher, it's a way of getting your voice out there and actually finding out and meeting people. And in terms of networking, I mean, I met Maha today for the first time, and I recognize lots of faces and names, and obviously there are some people that I know personally as well, but I just think this is really, really useful. I wonder how well known it is amongst kind of counterparts who are doing students kind of I don't know whether it's known so much in terms of universities that aren't necessarily open, if you see what I mean. Can I just ask though, out of the audience here, who's taken part in virtually connecting sessions? Oh, some
good number.
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah. And do you find it useful as well?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on, Sheila, come up here.
Come in. Hello, internet. Hi. So I'm Sheila McNeil, chair of Vault, and I actually attended my first virtually connecting session almost exactly a year ago at OER 17. And actually, I think it's great for researchers and students. But before that, I actually thought that virtually connecting was quite a closed little thing just for proper researchers and wasn't for the likes of me. No, I really thought that because it was all the OER PhD people, all the really brainy people, and I was like, oh, I can't come in there. But it's not. It's really useful. I think just to reiterate what Deb said there, it's just a really useful thing to do, to meet people, to catch up, and just to get different perspectives on things, and to get such a rich and diverse perspective. I think that's what virtually connecting does really well, and that's down to you guys that organise it as well. So that's my tuppence way.
Yeah, thank you.
Tuppence, thanks for the tuppence.
But also the fact that people at conferences agree to take the time out of the busy time that they could have been networking face to face, just so they can talk to folks who couldn't be there. Yeah, I think that's also an attitude and a kind of openness that's more than just. Yes, Helen. Yeah. Do we have conferences that don't wish to?
There's often we're like on the margins. We're not part of the program, so often we do it in between. So we're not a session per se, and that's the idea of it being the hallway conversation, the stuff that goes on in between. And so it's also, I mean, people who participate, they find it exciting to do this from the site. So this idea about bridging the connection, I think, is part of the open spirit of being giving.
I think, I don't know, Autumn, Helen, Christian, do you guys want to speak to that? I mean, there are some conferences that give us more, that give us like a comp registration for someone to do this, or they give us a room that's all hours the whole conference. Yeah. And it makes it so much easier for us to find each other and get it done and all that. And there, I think there was one time that happened to AK where, what was the conference where they actually thought we were like filming the sessions, which is not what we were doing, having conversations on this side. And I think they got upset. But right now, most of the time, the conferences know about us. Some of them invite us even. Like Nadine and I are working on one where they're like, hey, are you guys going to do virtually connecting this year or not?
I think some of the first ones, we just decided we would do it. We have to like find a location in the hallway that doesn't have, bad acoustics, and it's a little bit of a scramble. But I think because, I mean, generally, and especially because of the legwork that Autumn and Maha do, especially like they reach out, we try to get in touch with the keynotes primarily at first, and just other people who maybe haven't been on before, or maybe who don't get a chance to do this.
It hasn't been said yet, but I think it's important to say out loud, this is entirely voluntary and collegial. And the value that's most important to all of us, I think, is inclusivity. And we're always kind of hoping to expand and to include voices that, haven't been heard as much, who might be a bit shy or feel like they don't have a central role in the conversation. So that sort of drives us quite a bit, is that commitment to that value.
Let me give the virtual folks an opportunity to jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speak.
Just to add to that, and to take the opportunity to introduce Nadine to the crowd. She had audio issues earlier. She is a colleague of Maha. She was mentioned earlier, I think. and she works at the Center for Learning and Teaching at American University Cairo in instructional design technology, online learning, and blended learning. So, but I just wanted to sneak that in, and to add that I think one of the things that what we have been using virtually connecting for, I have been using virtually connecting for, if you can say that, is to try and claim some kind of space at a conference where you're not invited in, right? So you can even point to certain dysfunctions in terms of inclusivity, for example, by storming one of those big vendor-driven conferences and just taking your spot and claiming it, and then trying to take that space and enable others to partake in what is going on site, and vice versa. So that's, I think, one of the strong powers of virtually connecting, because we do that, but we still stay kind of friendly, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. And we have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Question.
Francis.
I can see that synchronicity makes it very immediate and interactive, but I'm also quite a fan of asynchronicity because it lets you dip in. So if I thought I could watch a video of a virtual connecting session that was an hour long, I might not do that. Whereas if you had some asynchronous thing that I could flick through and bring out the interesting bits. So I just wondered about the balance between synchronicity and asynchronicity, particularly in terms of inclusivity.
Can you guys hear?
I'm not sure if you heard Francis's question. It's about the balance. Okay.
You can hear. Good.
Yeah.
So balance between synchronicity and asynchronicity.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we there's a lot of Twitter activity around it as well, and that's often how I found out about something. And because of sometimes there's a difference in the time zones as well. Often I thought it was happening then, and I was actually watching it kind of 2 hours later. But you can still, if you watch it on YouTube as well, you can still post comments on YouTube after the conversation, so it extends the conversation as well. And often I've tweeted it out to people that are on my course, for example, and said, it was a really good discussion. You might find something helpful here, and that's led on to other things then. So
and we've tried. I mean, we use Slack as sort of a planning place, but also there is an open side and plus or minus for Slack that there's a lot of things that go on in there. So it's, again, that's an open piece. It's not the perfect balance.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of private asynchronous organizational community work going on for the people who are involved, other than the public facing videos that we work on.
But I mean, typically, someone like Nadine, she was a participant first, and then she's run a couple of these. And so people can there's no barrier, hopefully, to people wanting to be able to join in, because there's only 10 slots you can do virtually, but eventually someone gets excited about it and says, oh, I'd like to be a virtual buddy. And then someone else will mentor them. I mean, Helen is the queen of mentoring. Like, no one mentors better than Helen DeWard. I mean, you want Helen with her arm around you virtually to help you through this setup.
But I mean, of course, people whose internet isn't fast enough, or who don't have the audio or video, or who are just shy to just sit in front of the video, that's also not going to be the thing for them if someone doesn't have YouTube in their country. So we recognize all these limitations. And some people, I mean, Ella in this case doesn't have video or audio, but she's typing in the text chat. You guys can see it over there. And some people have the audio video, but they prefer to type in the text chat, but still be in that conversation. Yeah.
And that can be quite a gentle way in as well. And you gradually get more confidence to be able to say, hello, hello, internet.
Yeah. I think Nadine wanted to say something and Suzanne had a question. So Nadine, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was just hoping you guys can hear me now.
Yes.
Yay!
And also I'd like to weigh in on like the mentoring and how I was a participant in the beginning. I was actually a lurker at the beginning. I wasn't even participant. And I was just like sort of watching this, like I'm following up on the asynchronous comment as well. So I was sort of like watching this after it was done, after all the conversations happened. And then I would engage in hallway conversations with Maha because we work together in the same office. So I'd like have my reflections and my comments after that. And then when I started to feel a bit more comfortable, and then I started participating, and then Alan and Autumn and obviously Maha were voting. So I then became a buddy in a little bit, and then now I've just took on the role of Middle East and North Africa lead buddy. And that's sort of like, and I've been doing this for about like a couple of years. I mean, it's a good progress. And also I've taken a break in the middle. But anyway, I was doing thesis work. But yeah, so I would definitely agree with everything that was said about possibility of asynchronous, lurking, whatever you're comfortable with, basically.
This could happen to you, okay? You get lured into virtually connecting. And
can I say something about that actually really quickly? Because I find that it's a session like this that it's hard to maybe say that or point that out unless you do it really explicitly. So there's what you're seeing right now. There's this this hangout, right? There's this conference that we're having. There's this conversation that we're having. But there's so much community building that's happening before that on Twitter and in our back channel on Slack. And there's so much like it's almost like through those little technical difficulties that we have and through some of like the barriers, like conquering the barriers together across distance and across difference is such a huge learning opportunity in terms of digital literacy, but also in terms of cultural literacy and in terms of like learning about different people and just different ways of being. So that's my little shtick.
Suzanne. Do you want to come closer?
Yeah, come on.
Are you going to be able to? Okay.
She's trapped in a row.
It's okay. It's okay. Let me see if I can get this a little. No, just the mic. She doesn't want to be on camera.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Trying to be inclusive.
Well, and I'll say, I mean, when we had the DML with Ezra, who was someone who doesn't appear on camera, she sat off camera, and so we want to honor that.
Okay. Whatever.
I don't like being on camera, and today I have a session that will be live streamed. So I'm like, no,
it's rehearsal.
Yeah, and I had coffee, and I don't drink coffee, so I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So my comment, I was just adding on what Christian just said. So he talked about like the virtual connecting as a space for him like claiming his space at conferences. So I think we can also challenge this space. Recently, there was a conference that I really wanted to go, Network Learning Conference 2018. It's in Croatia, I think.
Oh, okay.
It was so expensive. With the travel and everything, it will just be so expensive for me. So at the end, I didn't go. Now I'm totally disconnected from what's going on there. So it would be really nice, as Helen was saying, to have a virtually connecting session there. So it's not only about claiming our space, I think it's also about challenging these conferences spaces. Who is it for? Who can attend?
And we can try to see if, I don't know if there's anyone from Virtually Connecting who's going, but if you find out. So this is another thing, like how do we decide which conferences to go? You're going! Are you really?
Hey, we found somebody!
Ellen Crump, on-site buddy.
Her head is down.
So usually it's either, it's like this. It's like someone like Suzanne says, oh, I wish I could go to that conference. And we know. We find out some way, and then we ask, "Oh, is anybody else going to be there?" And like, fixed, probably fixed. Usually this happens on Twitter or something, but.
But again, virtually connecting is a community thing as well, isn't it? I think for people who are outside of this community, it might be quite difficult to get into actually. And it's also you have to be quite present. Like on on social media, and there's so many people out of this, onto Twitter and. Who don't want to be visible in online spaces. But I know you've been thinking about inclusivity a lot. So maybe you can talk about that a little bit.
So our session last year was about that. Like, how is it that when you try to be inclusive and yet in the end, that's not what actually happens? Which I think something Lorna Campbell brought up today. And it's just, okay, so it's actually lunchtime if you want to leave. But we'll stay a little bit more if people still want to hang out, if you want to kind of talk to us. We'll go offline a little bit and then we'll still hang out a little bit. But yeah, if you have any other question, we'll take it. Taskeen.
That's just a comment, actually. I actually wanted to tell the story. So basically, I was on an online forum, which was the first time I'd gone onto some online virtual space. And in this forum, someone was like, "Hey, have you met Maha Bali?"
And that was Brian Alexander's.
And then they emailed and connected us. And then through that, I ended up meeting Christian. And then I ended up coming here to a session with them. And like, if it wasn't that online community that had like connected us in the first place, I definitely know I wouldn't be.
Yes,
And there is really
network learning.
of connectivity that happens. And I'm sure lots of other people have had similar experiences of like somehow being drawn into this community.
Thank you.
And there's also a thing that happens. There's like the pre-show where people in the hangout kind of get to know each other and informally talk. Then we do the thing. Often they will stay on after because we may only have 10 or 15 minutes at a conference because she has her stop sign up. But they often will continue going on. And that's another neat aspect of this.
Yes, that's true. And some people are very shy to speak when we're live streamed, but once we're off the air, they can't stop talking. So
we talk about network learning a lot as a pedagogical approach, but if we as colleagues aren't exploring that professionally, then there's a disconnect. So in many ways, this community is doing precisely that.
Yeah, and you can really go to lunch. We won't be upset. Like, and we know that the way the room is set up is like a cinema. So if someone's way inside and someone at the outside doesn't go out, it's a bit embarrassing to get out. So that's why I want to make time for people to leave if they need to.
We'll keep the hangout
and
going.
We'll stay a little bit longer.
Thank you very much.
And I'm going to keep Deb.
She's trapped.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I'm told that lunch is distributed lunch, so if you keep walking towards the end of the building, you'll find lunch on your way. There's multiple pickup points, I believe, so if you see a queue, maybe skip it and move on to the next one.
Anybody want lunch virtually?
And thank you to everyone.
Yeah? You can get cookies.
Virtual lunching.
Something we haven't figured out.
We give them cookies. Google Hangouts gives them cookies.
We need blockchain to transport food.
Autumn, did you want to say something?
I was just going to say I'm vegetarian.
Yes.
I'm just going to say it's breakfast for me.
That's a good point, yes.
Me too, but hey.
Are they going to disconnect us already?
Okay, I'm going to stop broadcast.
Okay.